The following program is furnished by Pinnacle Broadcasting Holdings, Inc. and is responsible for its content. Frustration is mounting and anger is growing with the liberals and passive politicians. Learn the playbook of those who are trying to destroy our country. From the blue-collar professor, he teaches, he leads, he speaks out for truth and justice. Now, the educator of all things conservative, your host, Dr. Gavin Mitchell.
49 dead, 53 wounded in the wake of the terrorist attack in Orlando. Little did we know last we met Saturday night that just a few hours from then, our lives and the history of this country would be changed forever. Hello, everybody. Welcome to it. I am Gavin Mitchell. If you would like to be a part of the program and weigh in on what we are discussing tonight, 888-787-KLIF. That's 888-787-5543. So we had a deranged gunman walk into a gay nightclub and effectively mow down innocent Americans last Saturday night in Orlando. The gunman, according to the left, was a deranged American citizen who committed a hate crime with the availability of assault rifles. If you ask those on the right, this was a homegrown terrorist who did this in the name of Islam, and here divides our country at a time when we should be united, at a time when we should come together as Americans and address this threat that is facing us. And instead of it, we have both sides playing politics. Now, this is a political talk show. We talk about current news. We talk about political situations. We talk about the election. But there are times in our history, and there are certain times in this country where it doesn't matter if you're progressive or liberal or Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're a conservative and a constitutionalist and a Republican. It's times like this where we need to all be Americans. It's a time where it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, Christian or not, black or white, tall or short. We're Americans. And it's times like this when we need to stand together and unite. And the problem is we have both parties wanting to spin this into politics. They want to leverage a tragic situation in which over 100 families were directly affected forever. Their lives were changed. And many, many more within the community and within the state and within the country feel that same grief. Now, when we left here, it was a normal Saturday night and life was good. I turned off my phone. I turned off my TV. I went to bed. I woke up. I went to church. And I put my phone on vibrate in church. And it just wouldn't stop vibrating. It just kept going off and kept going off. So after I left the sermon and went to Sunday school, I checked it, and that's when I realized what had happened. That's when I got the news. Because when I wake up on a Sunday morning, I don't turn on the TV. I don't turn on Fox News or CNN. I don't watch the local news. I don't watch Saturday morning cartoons. I get up, I do what I need to do, and I move my way to church. It was then I realized, and my heart broke immediately. But the first headline I saw wasn't terrorist attack. It wasn't radical Islam was attacking Orlando. They were blurbs about gun violence. And that's where I want to direct the conversation this week is what has happened. We know the facts. We know that this guy from a very young age, even in high school, cheered the World Trade Center towers coming down at 9/11. While the rest of his classmates and faculty were sobbing, they cheered. We know that he is the son of immigrants from either Afghanistan or Pakistan, which doesn't matter. It's moot. But we know that during this, he claimed that this wasn't his country. One of his claims during the 911 calls were, "Quit bombing my country." He didn't take America as his own, even though he had grown up here and was able to excel here, had the opportunities here, was able to enjoy the liberties and the freedoms we have. He didn't take America as his country. Whether that was an indoctrination from his parents or from his social group or from what he learned, it was anger. It doesn't matter. He refused to assimilate. Him and his family refused to assimilate. And so in his mind, he wasn't American. And as he walks into this nightclub, he makes 911 calls. and pledges his allegiance to ISIS, claims that he is loyal to them, and that's why he's doing it. To me, that's as good as a confession, walking into the police department saying, I pulled the trigger on these people, and this is why I did it, and signing that confession. He made the call so people knew why he was doing it. That was his moment to raise his flag and say, here is my motivation. But we look to the left, and that's not the answer. The left says, well, this was a hate crime on gays. And it was a hate crime, and it happened because he had access to high-powered assault rifles. That doesn't add up at all. You've heard a lot of talk out there about the president refusing to use the phrase radical Islamic terrorism. And those on the right have been critical of him for not using this phrase. And those on the left, including Hillary Clinton, it doesn't matter what you call it, it doesn't change the enemy. It absolutely matters what you call it, because I'm here to tell you, point blank, it's not politically correct. It's not the safe thing to say. It's not what those that teach you to be tactful and respectful of others would want to hear from me. But I'm here telling you tonight, we, the people of the United States of America, are in the middle of a religious war. I can hear it now. Well, Gavin, you can't blame it on all of Islam. It's not all of Islam. That's bigotry. That's the same racist remarks we hear from Donald Trump. You can't possibly blame all of Islam. Here's my justification. There are 11 countries that are Islamic countries that the wages for being homosexual are death. That is Islam. In Islam, women must submit to their husbands. They have to get permission from their husbands to go to the store or get educated. Call it what you want. That may be perfectly acceptable in your world, but that is not the American way. And the counter to that is, well, Christians don't say being gay is okay. You're absolutely right. But we don't go around killing them. I will not condone homosexual behavior. I'm not going to say that's good, but I will say that that's no worse than the things I do. That all sin is created equal, and we all fall short of the measuring stick of Christ, and I'm not one to judge or cast stones. That's how Christianity works. We will condemn the behavior just like we condemn some of my behavior. But we're not going to kill people. We're not going to throw them off buildings. And if it's true that the Islamic faith is in fact a peaceful religion, as this president says, where are the Muslims standing up saying, hey, our religion's been hijacked? These crazy people over there waving this ISIS flag has hijacked our religion, and that's not what we believe in. Because every time I turn on the news, there are experts in Islamic studies and people in the mosques and all of these people that seem to think they know what it means to be Islamic, saying they're actually following the letter of the law. It's those that are moderate, that have westernized, that are deviating from the religion. And if we refuse to identify this terror threat as radical Islamic terrorism, then we don't understand what it is these people are fighting for. We don't understand that this is a religious conviction. These people grab their guns, they grab their bombs, they grab their knives, they grab their cars, and they believe they are going to kill in the name of their God. There is no deeper conviction anywhere than a religious conviction. And you are not going to talk somebody out of a religious conviction. Diplomacy is off the table. This idea, well, if we could just talk with them, we could reason with them. Absolutely not correct. Now, as this thing unfolded and as we moved through the week, our president had 4 opportunities to address this nation. I want to talk about how he did it and what exactly he achieved next.
The Gavin Mitchell Show. Twisted Roads Trading Post in Crowley, Texas is your premier biker apparel, leather, and accessories store. Stop in and visit with brothers Ron and Carl Phillips. Twisted Roads Trading Post carries leather jackets, chaps, vests, accessories, gifts, and more. Open 6 days a week, Tuesday through Thursday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sundays, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Got a motorcycle or truck to sell? Their park and sell lot is now available and anxious to show off your ride. Visit us for sewing, embroidery, and t-shirt printing services. Airbrush services by our friends at Kingdom Custom Creations are also available throughout the week. Call today or visit twistedroadstradingpost.com or find and like them on Facebook. Located west of Crowley on FM 1187, then south on FM 1902. Go 1.3 miles and look for the flags. 817-768-8761. That's 817-768-8761. Twisted Roads Trading Post. If the flags are flying, we're open. On the Gavin Mitchell Show, you'll hear relevant interviews.
Co-founder of the Convention of States Project, Mark Mechter.
It's a great pleasure and an honor to be with you.
When it matters most.
Senior Policy Advisor to Donald Trump, Stephen Miller.
It's a great honor to be here, and I look forward to talking with you this morning.
Senior Campaign Advisor to Marco Rubio, Jason Rowe.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Chris Salcedo.
Merry Christmas, Gavin. It's great to be with you, man.
Dr. Ronnie Floyd.
Thanks for the privilege and opportunity.
The Gavin Mitchell Show on News and Information, 570 AM, KLIF.
Do you need residential or commercial roof repairs, maintenance, or replacement in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? J-Bow Roofing has over 35 years of experience in the industry, and they have the know-how to keep you dry and comfortable. J-Bow Roofing also offers a roofing system that is warranted against hail of any size, and this is a no-excuse warranty. J-Bow Roofing doesn't want their customers to cringe every time it hails. They want customers to have complete confidence that their roofing system is going to stand up to the task. Basically, J-Bow Roofing wants to stop the insanity, lifetime roofing period. Re-roof once and be done. A J-Bow roof product is aesthetically pleasing and tougher than anything you can find. A J-Bow roof is so nice your neighbors will want it. J-Bow lifetime roofing systems are strong as steel, tougher than hail, and guaranteed. So it'll be the last roof you put on your house. Looking for a price? Get a no-cost, no-obligation quote today at jabeau.com. That's jabeau.com. J-Bow Roofing. Your long-term satisfaction is their immediate goal.
Hey folks, Gavin Mitchell here. If you're in the market for a new car or truck, Jerry Chevrolet in Weatherford has been family owned and operated for nearly 50 years, and my family has done business with Jerry for 25 of those. Jerry's proudly built a reputation of working hard to provide their customers with great service and exceptional value. Jerry Chevrolet has hundreds of new trucks in stock, and they are always marked with the absolute lowest price. Come test drive the Chevy Silverado or the Colorado today and get yourself a $25 prepaid Visa gift card for doing it. When you go online at jerrychevytexas.com, Jerry will offer you a $25 prepaid Visa gift card just for stopping in. No purchase necessary. It's as easy as that. If you have a trade-in, Jerry Chevrolet is always looking for quality used cars, and you can go to jerrychevytexas.com today and find out what your vehicle is worth. Find new roads at Jerry Chevrolet in Weatherford and at jerrychevytexas.com. Come out our way and trade your way. Tell them Gavin sent you.
Let's get back to the program. If you're sick of the garbage that comes out of Washington, D.C., then it's time to arm yourself with knowledge from the blue-collar professor. Here's your host, Dr. Gavin Mitchell.
So after a tragedy like Orlando happens, we look to the president. We look to the president for leadership. We look for the president to unite us and give us direction, because in times like this, average people like me, we're hurt. We're angry. We're filled with all these emotions that we may not think straight. We may not have the direction we need to go. It is the President of the United States' job at a time like this, steps up and says, look, here's where we're at and here's what we're going to do. It's not about Democrats. It's not about Republicans. It's not about your political agenda. It's about Americans. It's about Americans coming together and taking care of business, whatever that may mean. And so Sunday afternoon, after the attacks, the president comes out, and he has an opportunity to do that. And he spends the first couple minutes extending his condolences, expressing a little bit of anger, all warranted, all necessary, all fine. And then he immediately pivots to gun control. He refuses to acknowledge this was a terrorist attack by a radical extremist Muslim. He does claim it's terror, but he refused to identify the culprit for who and what he is. And he pivots to gun control, talking about it's the easy access of these assault-style rifles that is the problem. And then he comes out Monday with a little impromptu media conference there in the Oval Office and does the same thing. Says, hey, I just had a briefing with the FBI director, and we have got to do something about these guns. It is the guns' fault. We have got to do something about the guns. He swings and misses the second time. He doesn't take the opportunity to identify who did this, why they did it, and what we're going to do about it, and unite this country to quit playing politics. And he has a third chance, Tuesday afternoon. He comes out, and it's Tuesday afternoon that set me off. Because Tuesday afternoon is when not only did he recap what happened, updated us on what is officially known, even though the media has beat him to it by 24 hours. And he talks about gun violence again and how we need to capture these guns. But then he pivots. And without naming Donald Trump directly, he calls him the Republican nominee, spends 5 or 10 minutes of a 25-minute speech chastising a political opponent because his solution is to temporarily ban immigration from places that have known terror connections. And he talks about how that's not American and how that's not who we are. And it's bigotry. And it's racism. And he goes on and on. He's more upset at Donald Trump than he is at the fact that 49 Americans and 53 Americans have been shot and killed. He's more upset with Donald Trump. And I just thought to myself, is this guy for real? Is this what he's about? For whatever reason, San Bernardino didn't do it. We hurt after San Bernardino. Our hearts were broken that such a thing could happen here. Well, what is going on? How does this happen? And of course, the left used it as an opportunity to seize gun control, common sense gun law. But for whatever reason in Orlando, not only did we hurt, not only did our hearts break, but we got mad. We got incredibly mad over this. Enough's enough. Enough is enough. But the left continues to go after the gun. So the president gets a fourth opportunity Thursday. He hops on Air Force One with Joe Biden, and Marco Rubio gets on board. Marco Rubio, the Republican senator from Florida. Marco Rubio, the former Republican presidential nominee. He's greeted by the Republican governor of Florida and other elected officials. This has all the makings of a bipartisan effort of elected officials at the national level putting politics aside and uniting a community, uniting a country. Here's the opportunity. It was tailor-made. And they go and they visit with the families as they should. They spend a couple hours consoling each other, listening, doing what leaders are supposed to do. And then Barack Obama gets behind the microphone and blames guns again. It's not the gun's fault. I've said it a million times on this program. I have never had a gun go off without me pulling the trigger. And taking a constitutional right away from people is not the answer. That's not it. And so I got to thinking, well, are guns the problem? Are these terrorists using guns? Because I look over at Israel that has incredibly strict gun laws. I look at France that has incredibly strict gun laws. And I see terrorist attacks happen there. And some of them use guns, but guns are illegal. But when they don't use guns, they use suicide vests, or they use cars, or they use knives, or whatever, forks, baseball bats. It doesn't matter. They are set on inflicting harm and doing as much destruction as possible with whatever they have available. Guns don't stop it. So I thought, well, are guns the problem in the United States? And so I pulled out all of the credited terrorist attacks by radical Muslims in the United States since 9/11. Including 9/11, I have counted 47 of them. 8/6/2003 in Houston, Texas, after undergoing a religious revival, a Saudi college student slashes the throat of a Jewish student with a 4-inch butterfly knife, nearly decapitating the young man. 7/6/2008, a devout Muslim strangles his 25-year-old daughter in an honor killing. February 12, 2009, Buffalo, New York, founder of a Muslim TV station beheads his wife in the hallway for seeking a divorce. November 2nd, 2009, Glendale, Arizona, a woman dies from injuries suffered when her father runs her down in a car for being too, quote, westernized. The list goes on and on. The argument that it's the gun's fault doesn't hold water. The argument that this was an attack on gays doesn't hold water, because here's the fact, and here's my opinion on this. There are reports that this terrorist, and you will not hear me naming by name on this program, was on gay dating apps. Several of them are the reports that he frequented this nightclub, this gay nightclub, that he had gay tendencies. I think that's exactly why he targeted this club. I believe he was indoctrinated by ISIS ideology. I believe that his parents indoctrinated him. They refused to assimilate to our ways and our culture the way that the Muslims do across Europe now. And they refused to assimilate. And so he grew up believing this wasn't his country. And through the ISIS indoctrination that he sought online, he started to believe that his countries were being bombed, that it was us that were the enemy. And he grew angry. And perhaps he wanted to atone for his sins in the Islamic world of being gay, of having gay tendencies, whatever. But he knew the nightclub. He was familiar with it. He knew it would be crowded, and that's why he picked it. This was a radical Islamic terrorist attack on a gay nightclub. It has nothing to do with guns. You can argue what you want to about the AR-15 being a military rifle and an assault rifle. I'm telling you, anybody that knows and understands guns knows that the round that an AR-15 shoots is not a large caliber round. It's not going to floor somebody. It doesn't pop off a round faster than any other weapon out there. It's one pull, one shot. That's how it works. And there have been arguments, well, if others in that nightclub would have been armed, maybe this would have turned out differently. I hold to that ideal. But I'm telling you, that wouldn't have made a difference, because you are not allowed to carry a firearm into a place that has 51% of alcohol sales or more. So there wouldn't have been weapons there anyway. This was nothing short and nothing more than radical Islam revealing its face here in this country again. And the problem is, instead of addressing it head on, instead of going after what it is, and fighting the fight we need to fight, our politicians are up there talking about guns. They're up there talking about hate crimes against gays. They're up there talking about how the NRA is at fault here. They're up there talking all this other nonsense. And I'm going to pose this question. Just run a hypothetical for me. If this president was out to destroy America, if that was his motivation, and this is a hypothetical, tell me what he would have done differently, especially regarding ISIS, that he hasn't done up to this point. Because during this week, he hasn't slowed down refugees. He hasn't pushed pause. He has accelerated the process. The same process is supposed to take 2 years to vet, according to him. According to a CIA agent's intelligence head, FBI intelligence head, they can't be vetted. But according to him, it takes 2 years. But he's accelerating the process. So I ask you once again, if he was intentionally trying to sabotage this country, what would he have done different than he's done?
The Gavin Mitchell Show.
Are you getting squeezed by the economic downturn? Hey, you were doing fine. Then, all of a sudden, you're having a tough time paying your family's credit card bills. Maybe you were downsized or even lost a job, but you still owe 10 grand or more in credit card bills. And you just can't afford the minimum payments anymore. We're here to help. We are the Genesis Debt Partners. We know the secrets to negotiate better terms with your creditors. Make a free 10-minute call right now and learn how we can help you get out of debt. 800-807-9767. If you owe 10 grand or more in credit card debt and you want to learn how you can pay less and get out of debt faster, call right now. 800-807-9767. 800-807-9767. Get out of debt now. 800-807-9767.
Hey folks, Gavin Mitchell here. If you're in the market for a new car or truck, Jerry Chevrolet in Weatherford has been family owned and operated for nearly 50 years, and my family has done business with Jerry for 25 of those. Jerry's proudly built a reputation of working hard to provide their customers with great service and exceptional value. Jerry Chevrolet has hundreds of new trucks in stock, and they are always marked with the absolute lowest price. Come test drive the Chevy Silverado or the Colorado today and get yourself a $25 prepaid Visa gift card for doing it. When you go online at jerrychevytexas.com, Jerry will offer you a $25 prepaid Visa gift card just for stopping in. No purchase necessary. It's as easy as that. If you have a trade-in, Jerry Chevrolet is always looking for quality used cars, and you can go to jerrychevytexas.com today and find out what your vehicle is worth. Find new roads at Jerry Chevrolet in Weatherford and at jerrychevytexas.com. Come out our way and trade your way. Tell them Gavin sent you.
Gavin back with you live. Every time I turn on the radio, I hear different dealerships and leasing agencies talking about how easy it is to buy or lease a car with them. Truth is, when you go in to make a deal on a new or used vehicle, the salesperson serves as the middleman for the whole haggling process, and nothing is ever as easy as they make it out to be. That's why I want to tell you about my buddy Kevin Sebastian at Jerry's GMC Buick and Chevrolet in Weatherford. My family and I have dealt with Kevin for over 20 years, and he makes the car buying experience the way it should be. I'll call Kevin, tell him what I want and what I can afford. He calls me back in a few hours and says, hey, come pick it up, or we just can't do it. It's that simple. Kevin treats everyone that walks through the door like family. No one ever believes buying a car really is as easy as Kevin makes it out to be. But with Kevin Sebastian and Jerry Chevrolet, it is as easy as it is on the radio. Give Kevin a call today, 817-559-7381. That's 817-559-7381.
It's summertime again, ladies. Time to break out those sandals and give your toenails a little TLC. The nail technicians at Friendly Nails in Cleburne, Texas are ready to provide you with professional and friendly service. From manicures to pedicures and a variety of specialized services such as acrylic nails, facials, and waxing. Custom designs and a variety of stones to accent your nails are also available. The technicians at Friendly Nails are all licensed and trained in the latest technology and have experience applying every kind of polish on the market. So stop by and be treated like royalty. Relax in their massage chair and unwind. Full body massage therapy is also available by appointment only. For all you guys wanting to give your special lady a little treat, $50 gift certificates are available now for $40, and anyone who mentions hearing about Friendly Nails on the Gavin Mitchell Show or KLIF will get $10 off any $50 purchase. Friendly Nails is open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Located at 180 North Ridgeway Drive in Cleburne, Texas. Call them at 817-641-3400. Walk-ins are welcome.
Hey, liberals, try rooting for your own country for a change. Our blue-collar educator of all things common sense does. Now, back to the Gavin Mitchell Show.
If you were looking for us through the week, you can find us at conservativeradionetwork.com, 5 p.m. Central each and every weekday. You can also find the show on demand, iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, and Google Play as well. And then each and every Saturday, we are here on News and Information 570 KLIF at 8 p.m. Central Time with our live offering. So I've expressed my frustration with the president and the way he's handling this. I just don't understand what his motivation is. I don't understand. I see what he's doing. I just don't understand why. It makes no sense to me why you wouldn't address the enemy we're facing, acknowledge, at least in their eyes, this is a religious war. They believe they are doing the right thing in the eyes of their God. And we have been condemned if we say that. If we say this is their way, this is their religion, we're bigots. We're racist. We've been whipped by the PC police to sit down and shut up. And the cost of that is not acknowledging the reality here. And the reality is, it's as simple as there is a group of people that hates us to their core, that believes they have been empowered by their God to make us submit or kill us. And for whatever reason, the president refuses to acknowledge it. He may have one set of motivations, but the Senate went to work Wednesday with a different set of motivations, and their motivation was to blame the gun. It was a gun, and it was a hate crime against gays. And so Christopher Murphy, a senator, he's a Democrat from Connecticut, and understand, Connecticut is where Newtown is. That's where that mass shooting with those elementary school kids happened. He's got skin in this game. And I can understand that, and I'm empathetic to that. But again, it wasn't the gun's fault. It was the nut job's fault. But he decided that enough was enough, that he was not going to go on business as usual, that he was going to stand up and he was going to say, we have got to make changes. Now, right there, I agree with this senator 100%. Enough with the games, enough with the politics. We need answers. Now, where I disagree with Senator Murphy is what the answer is. But welcome to democracy. We need to get that conversation moving in a constructive manner. We need Republicans and Democrats to come together, lock them in a room until they come out with an answer. Because no answer is no longer acceptable. We look at all these terrorist attacks. We look at what happened in 9/11, and we had some changes. We look at the Boston Marathon bombing. We look at San Bernardino. We look at Fort Hood. We look at Chattanooga. We look at Orlando. And I'm just hitting the tip of the iceberg here. But every time it happens, we come back and it breaks our heart. It breaks our heart all over again, and we get mad all over again, and we claim we're going to do something. The left rallies against gun control. The right rallies against fighting ISIS. And the conversation dies. And nothing ever gets done. So Senator Murphy said enough's enough. And good for him. And so he took to the floor at 11:21 a.m. on Wednesday, and he began a filibuster. And simply what a filibuster is a senator takes control of the floor and does not relinquish it until there is resolution on the issue he wants to talk about. Oftentimes it can be beat with a vote of 60 votes or more. The Republicans didn't have the votes to beat it, and so they had to yield to the filibuster. So nothing was getting done. Nothing at all. And what he wanted were amendments attached to the annual Commerce, Justice, Science appropriation bills. And he wanted there to be gun control amendments attached. He wanted two things. One, if you were on the no-fly list, then you do not get a gun. He wanted that to be, at least be debated. He wanted an up or down vote on that. That's all he wanted was that to say, hey, let's talk about it. And he wanted to expand background checks to no matter where you bought a gun, whether it was a gun show, whether it was from an arms dealer, whatever. He just wanted there to be an extensive background check. Those were the two things he wanted. There are already background checks. Unless your dad hands you down a gun, you can't get a gun without a background check. But this no-fly list, I want to talk about that. The no-fly list is a flawed list, and the way this list is composed is the FBI, the CIA, whatever, they get together and they say, hey, we suspect Gavin Mitchell might be involved in terrorism. And so they add the name Gavin Mitchell to the list. By the way, I'm not involved in terrorism. This is just me illustrating the point. And so Gavin Mitchell's added to that list, and it's sent to the private airlines. The private airlines elect to honor that list or not. They don't have to. They can let anybody fly they want to. But if word gets out that they're letting people on the no-fly list fly, nobody's going to fly with them. That's why they do it. The list is incredibly flawed. It's flawed because there was a time where a 30-year senator by the name of Ted Kennedy was on the no-fly list. There have been reputable journalists on the no-fly list. Moreover, if there is a guy named Gavin Mitchell in BFE, Kentucky, I can't get on a plane in Dallas because our name is the same. That list is incredibly flawed, but the most important aspect to this is there's no due process. It's just, hey, we think he might be, and so he's added to that list. And now what the left wants is, without due process, they want, if your name is added to that list, for you to not be able to buy a firearm. They want to strip away your Second Amendment right without due process. That's why this is a no-go for the right. And that is a slippery slope. If the government can just add your name to a list for whatever reason they want to and label it as terrorism, and now you don't get to buy firearms, you might as well just turn in your guns now. That's why we're against it. Well, the right came back after 15 hours of this filibuster and said, all right, we'll do it. We'll have an up and down vote. We'll talk about it. But they came back and said, look, we're going to present an option for this no-fly list. We'll give you that. But if someone tries to purchase a firearm and they're on that no-fly list, they must wait 72 hours, at which time it will go to a court and the government must prove probable cause for them being on that list or they get their firearm. That's not good enough for the left. And so this whole thing dies. One of the interesting comments made during this filibuster, and I was one of those dorks that turned on C-SPAN too and watched part of it. I saw my buddy Chuck Schumer, that clown out of New York, stand up and say, you know what the crazy thing is? The First Amendment, we have these bumpers on the First Amendment. There are restrictions. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. You can't go look at child pornography, and rightfully so. Hate speech is illegal. And he's right on all those things. There are limitations on the First Amendment, and rightfully so. But he claims there's no restrictions on the Second Amendment. There's none. And I thought to myself, well, gee, that's funny, Senator Schumer. Because last time I checked, a convicted felon cannot get a firearm. Right? Last time I checked, automatic weapons were outlawed. That's a check on the Second Amendment. Last time I checked, if I wanted to go buy a handgun, I had to wait 48 hours, 72 hours to get that gun for the paperwork to come back. Those are all checks on the Second Amendment. So what Chuck Schumer is saying is absolutely false. It's political posturing. It's garbage. And I applaud Senator Murphy from Connecticut for taking a stand and saying, look, let's at least debate and vote on this. That's great. And I'm proud to say that Texas Senator Ted Cruz went up there and just undressed them all and embarrassed them the next day. If you haven't seen Ted Cruz's speech following this filibuster, I encourage you, go online and give it a listen. It is why we sent Ted Cruz to the Senate. He punched the time clock and he went to work for our constitutional guarantees. And it was fantastic. It absolutely was. But to blame it on the guns, it's hocus pocus. What I want to see from the right, what I want to see from Ted Cruz, and what I want to see from the Republicans is, why not, as Bill O'Reilly has claimed, declare war on ISIS? So that when this gunman is investigated by the FBI, he is now an enemy of the state and can be detained without due process. Let the military and not the law enforcement deal with it, because they are enemies of the United States. We've declared war against them. We can now ratchet up military action and destroy our enemy. It is an incredible idea and one worth thinking about. It's necessary. In reaction to all of this, remember, this was a gay nightclub shot up. There is a man by the name of Milo that is a Breitbart editor that is one of the very few openly gay conservatives out there, and he had something to say about this. And I thought, you know what? That's worth listening to. We're going to talk about him next.
The Gavin Mitchell Show.
You hear the headlines. You know health insurance is a real mess right now. Premiums have skyrocketed, and in most cases, you're stuck with your plan until open enrollment. But there's a government rule that allows you to qualify for lower health insurance rates if your life has changed. That means if you've changed jobs, if you're having a child, if you're getting married, if you're getting divorced, even if you run a small business or you're self-employed, this law may qualify you to get lower health insurance rates. Call the Health Insurance Hotline today. Learn how this 10-minute call can help you get lower health insurance rates. This is a free service to help consumers learn the laws to help them qualify for lower health insurance rates. So call right now to learn more. 800-926-4501. 800-926-4501. 800-926-4501. 800-926-4501.
Hey everybody, your pal Gavin Mitchell here from my friends at Texas Elite Landscape. We all have that embarrassing spot in our yard we just can't seem to get grass to grow. Or perhaps you're tired of pumping hundreds and thousands of dollars into your yard just to get it to turn green when the weather warms up. Or maybe the constant maintenance is just too much to bear. Well, my friends at Texas Elite Landscaping are the most respected synthetic grass installation specialists in North Texas. Locally owned and operated, they have installed over 1 million square feet of the highest quality grass made right here in the USA. And I know what you're thinking. Is it pet and child friendly? You bet it is. So whether you want your yard looking picture perfect year round, no matter what the season is, or perhaps you'd like a putting green in the backyard to keep your husband home on Saturdays, give my friends at Texas Elite Landscaping a call today. 214-298-7726. That's 214-298-7726. Or find them at TexasEliteLandscaping.com.
Do you believe in conservative politics, common sense issues, and the U.S. Constitution? So does Matt Locke. Who is Matt Locke? Well, Matt's just a guy that believes, like many of you, that our country is headed in the wrong direction. If you feel the same, then go to Matt's new website, themattlockshow.com. Matt is a friend of the Gavin Mitchell Show, and he's a conservative podcaster and talk show host who will shoot you straight and provide information that is important to the conservative listener. You'll hear political commentary, news, and he'll discuss the current issues that will affect you during this election season. Listen to Matt's daily podcast anytime on his website at themattlockshow.com, spelled MATTLOCKE, or find his show on Spreaker.com and TuneIn.com. He's also syndicated on ICRN, the internet's new conservative radio network. Join Matt and his guest on the Matt Locke Show daily at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific on conservativeradionetwork.com, or listen to any of his 400 archive shows at any time on themattlockshow.com. The Matt Locke Show, all things conservative politics.
Hey folks, Gavin Mitchell here. If you're in the market for a new car or truck, Jerry Chevrolet in Weatherford has been family owned and operated for nearly 50 years, and my family has done business with Jerry for 25 of those. Jerry's proudly built a reputation of working hard to provide their customers with great service and exceptional value. Jerry Chevrolet has hundreds of new trucks in stock, and they are always marked with the absolute lowest price. Come test drive the Chevy Silverado or the Colorado today and get yourself a $25 prepaid Visa gift card for doing it. When you go online at jerrychevytexas.com, Jerry will offer you a $25 prepaid Visa gift card just for stopping in. No purchase necessary. It's as easy as that. If you have a trade-in, Jerry Chevrolet is always looking for quality used cars, and you can go to jerrychevytexas.com today and find out what your vehicle is worth. Find new roads at Jerry Chevrolet in Weatherford and at jerrychevytexas.com. Come out our way and trade your way. Tell them Gavin sent you.
If you happen to drive by the studios during a commercial break and you see a guy on the roof waving an American flag, that's our blue-collar doctor of common sense. And now here he is, your host, Dr. Gavin Mitchell.
If you would like to follow us, find us out on the web. We're at www.thegavinmitchellshow.com. You can email me anytime you would like, Gavin at thegavinmitchellshow.com. I do my best to read those and reply to all of them, but time doesn't always allow. And then you can find us on Twitter at The GM Show. Feel free to follow along and engage us there. That is probably the most frequently used means of communication. So I want to talk about Milo. And if you don't know Milo, he is probably a self-proclaimed diva that is ecstatic to go by one name, much the way Britney and Shania and all of these others do. Milo is proud to go by that. And I want to be clear. I sound like the president. Let me be clear. But I want to be clear. I'm not okay with homosexuality. It makes me uncomfortable. I haven't been around it. I do think it goes against what God had planned for us. But at the end of the day, I'm not one to judge. I have faults of my own. I want to underscore that so drastically. And so if that's something you do, if that's something you're about, just like if I'm about something that probably isn't right, do what you got to do. It's between you and God. Just don't shove it down my throat and we'll be okay. Right? That's just how I feel about it. Do what you got to do. Just, I may not want to be a part of it and understand that. Milo gets that. He completely gets that. And he decided to speak up because this was a gay nightclub that was shot up. And here is a gay man from Britain, mind you, who is over here talking about how great our country is because of the First and the Second Amendment. And he is outspoken, and he wanted to do a talk at the University of Central Florida, but the police couldn't guarantee his safety. So he showed up outside a church the day before the president got there and held a little impromptu press conference. And so he gets out there and he gives a speech, and it was incredible. He said, you know what? Here's the deal. Out of 1,001 Muslims in the UK, not refugees, not immigrants, but British citizens that are Muslims, they were polled. And 100%, 1,001 believe that being gay should be illegal. 52% believed it was a punishable crime. The same amount believed that women should submit to their husbands and obey them at all costs. These are archaic thoughts for our culture. They don't mesh. And he said, let me be clear about this. This is Islam. This isn't radical Islam. This is what Islam preaches. And the problem is that all of these minority groups are on this hierarchy victim list from the Democrats. And the Democrats have placed the Muslims at the top, followed by the gays, followed by African Americans, so on and so forth. And Milo claimed the problem with this hierarchy is the one the Democrats have put at the top. And mind you, there was a very clear point in the Democrats' reaction where they could have defended the LBG community and condemned Islam, or they could have condemned the LGBT community and not acknowledged what really happened. There was a fork in the road for the Democratic Party, and by not acknowledging the truth of this attack, they spit in the face of the LGBT community, and Milo recognized that. And he said the problem with putting the Muslims at the top of the hierarchy is they want to kill everybody else. He went on to say, let's be blunt about this. Armed gay people don't get bashed. You have a right to carry a gun in this country. Do it. Oftentimes the police are 2 to 6 minutes away. You don't have that kind of time. Be able to protect yourself. It takes an average gun-carrying person 5 seconds to unholster their weapon and get a round off. It's a lot better than 2 minutes when your life's on the line. And that's what Milo encouraged. He also made it clear that the Democratic Party is not for the gays, and the gays are recognizing this. The LGBT community is recognizing that the Democrats were using them. They were playing them for fools. They're not really for them. And when it comes down to it, what matters most is that we're Americans, and we've got to protect us and ours. And Milo claimed the one to do that is Donald Trump. You're a fool if you are a gay person and you think the Democratic Party is for you. That was Milo's response. That's a gay man speaking. I can't speak for him. I believe the same thing, but I haven't walked a mile in his shoes. I think it's food for thought. There was more reaction. There was an attorney for the ACLU named Chase Strangio, decided he was going to get to Twitter, responding to Orlando. His first tweet, you know what is gross? Your thoughts and prayers in Islamophobia after you created this anti-queer climate. Speaking to the right. I spend my life fighting Christian homophobia while being loved and supported by my Muslim family. Blank your take on an entire religion. The third tweet, the Christian right has introduced 200 anti-LGBT bills in the last 6 months, and people blaming Islam for this. No. Chase, I hate to tell you, brother, but Islam is not for the gay person. Don't blame Christians for this. Don't blame the right for this. This is a political tactic by this guy. It's fascinating. The ACLU responded, as we come together to heal from this tragedy, we must also continue to stand against any reaction to this horrific event that is rooted in hatred or bigotry of any form. We remain in solidarity with the Muslim community here in Florida and elsewhere. I may lose it in the last few minutes. Why is it the left goes out of their way to defend the very people attacking our way of life and killing American citizens? They will bend over backwards to grab any excuse they can, any slight slither of rationale. They will grab it and imply it so that they don't look like racists and point a finger at Islam. When the fact of the matter is, it is Islam. This is who these people are, and it's what they do, and it's what they believe. Now, there may be peaceful Muslims out there that don't believe in this, but they have allowed their religion to get hijacked by these crazies. They have allowed people that read the Quran and take it as a literal interpretation and apply it to their lives to run around killing Americans. It wasn't all bad. Oftentimes when you have a great tragedy, there are little slithers of light that come out of it. And I want to point out two situations. Chick-fil-A that's not traditionally open on Sunday. The same Chick-fil-A that was chastised by the left for their position on anti-gay or gay marriage and chastised for their religious liberty positions. And the mayor of New York said, boycott them. They're not for us. They're right-wing Bible-beating Christians. That same Chick-fil-A. They're traditionally not open on Sunday because it's not who they are. They saw all the people lined up to give blood. And so what did they do? They kicked open their doors. They cooked up some sandwiches. They brewed some sweet tea. And they took it out there and they donated it to them, making sure that those people were fed as they waited in long, hot lines. They didn't have to, but they realized this is a community hurting, a community needing. And they stepped up. There's an Ace Hardware just across the street and a few doors down from this gay nightclub. They saw all the media, and oftentimes the media is chastised. Y'all come in way too many numbers. You're here too long. They're often criticized for that. But what this Ace Hardware did is they flipped open the grills. They flipped open the grills, and they decided they were going to cook hot dogs for all the media and everybody that was out there, the first responders cleaning up the scene and investigating the scene. And so they flipped open the grills, but they didn't have to buy the hot dogs. The local grocery stores in the community donated them. And they were able to feed everybody. And their response was, this message needs to get out. We need people to know what happened here so we can do something about it. And so there's two great stories that come out of this horrific tragedy. But if I can leave you with anything this week, it's this simple. We're at a breaking point in this country. There are good people like Chick-fil-A, like the Ace Hardware store, like you and me, that have simply had enough. We've had enough, and we've got elected officials that are playing politics in a time that we need to unite and come together. Enough's enough. It's time for them to stand accountable. It's time for a reset, and it's time for our take our country back. And if you do not realize that this is a religious war, we're in a great deal of trouble. Forget politically correct, forget being racist. We've got to call it what it is, and that's what it is. It's that simple. Folks, that's going to do it for this week. For Navy Dave and Ron Phillips, I am Gavin Mitchell. This has been a Pinnacle Broadcast Holdings production. Until next week, 8 p.m. Central Time on News and Information 570 KLIF, we will see you then.